And hello, and thank you for choosing to spend the next hour with us today. This is Access Academy, brought to you by the American Printing House for the Blind. We are thrilled to join forces with the Braille Institute in celebration of the 2021 National Braille Challenge. This annual event honors and salutes our Braille reading students from all across the United States and Canada. Today is the fourth and final of our Braille Challenge webinar series featuring the LEGO Braille Bricks. It is brick by brick numeracy. So whoever thought that LEGO Braille Bricks is only for literacy play will be pleasantly surprised to see today how we can do fun math things with the LEGO Braille Bricks. But first, Rachel Antoine from the Braille Institute would like to share with you a warm welcome for today's feature.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for the introduction, Amy. My name is Rachel Antoine, and I am the Manager of National Programs and Services at the Braille Institute. We are so happy to partner with APH to bring you the fourth and final webinar in the LEGO Braille Bricks series and the final webinar in our Braille Challenge webinar series. This year has presented new challenges for everyone, but that has not stopped our amazing Braille students from taking the Braille Challenge. We have been overwhelmed by the commitment, innovation, dedication from our partners in the full Braille Challenge network and bringing this program to students in new ways. So now, a huge congratulations to all the students who have taken their contests, and good luck to all those who are going to be taking their contests soon. You're going to face many challenges in life, but just by taking the challenge, you are already a winner. And when you face those challenges, remember to keep calm and Braille on. Please feel free to connect with me after the webinar for more information on the Braille Challenge, and make sure to check out our website for info on the 2021 Remote Braille Challenge Finals throughout June and July. Thank you again, APH.
And thank you. And back with us to share more of her teaching and presentation talents is Leanne Grillot, APH's National Director of Outreach Services. She's a true mentor in the field of visual impairment and is gifted with being able to share not only creative ideas for teaching, but also some valuable tips of the trade that you're going to find out today as well. Also, we are excited to share with you two collaborators of this webinar. Please know that we could not have pulled this content together for you today without the help of Yvonne France and Gina Carr. Yvonne is an accomplished teacher of students with visual impairments living in North Carolina. It is her adorable young student you'll see in a couple of videos today featuring the use of the LEGO Braille Bricks. Yvonne is a previous APH scholar and has been impacting lives of students with visual impairments for over 40 years. And Gina Carr, she is super creative and energetic, retired teacher of students with visual impairments. She's from my old stomping grounds of Central Illinois and has left her mark in the field by touching not only the lives of school-age students, but also mentoring countless teachers and training from the University of Illinois, Illinois State University, excuse me, go Redbirds. Currently, she is a library assistant at the Illinois School for the Visually Impaired. And for today, at the end of today's training, we know that you will be well rehearsed in identifying how our activities also embed the 5 holistic skills that children develop during play. Also, you'll be able to spot with an eagle eye those characteristics of playful learning experiences. And as I mentioned, there is an adorable young student that you're going to get to see her hands touching the Braille today. You will also continue to discriminate different activities.
And now let's get to a little bit of math. Hi, I'm Leanne Grillot, and we are going to talk about holistic skills and numeracy. Numeracy is a category in the Braille Bricks website. So if you're looking for more numeracy lesson plans, you could go there and check out numeracy. But to start using your Braille bricks for numeracy, you have to do a little bit of looking in your box. So first, let's figure out what is numeracy, just in case this isn't the part that you're used to. Literacy tends to be where many teachers and students with visual impairments land. They loved letters and language and reading, and that usually made them fall in love with Braille. Numeracy, though, is slightly different. This is the ability to use, interpret, and communicate mathematical information to solve real world problems. Most of us could tell one another what literacy is, but when we get to numeracy, sometimes we falter. So understanding the goal is to use that math information to do stuff you need. Just like in the end, literacy is to be able to interpret and communicate using letters, language. So just think about it in a little bit different way. The picture here is showing you the bank of Braille numbers available in the Braille bricks across the top, and also has a bowl with Legos inside and a few scattered on the counter. We must think about the skills that LEGO is talking about and how we should be embedding them into the work we do. So I wanted to call to mind those cognitive skills of concentration, problem solving, working memory, and flexible thinking. But what I want you to do is I want you to wrap your head around those cognitive skills as they have to do with numeracy. All of these things we can think of and apply to numeracy, just like we were doing to literacy. But then also remember creative, expressing new ideas, exploring possibilities, and identifying solutions. We saw multiple webinars where we were talking about being creative with literacy, but now let's talk about being creative with numeracy and our math skills, being able to express new ideas, think about different possibilities, and then work on finding those solutions. Physical comes to mind when usually we're doing something with our body, but physical can also be exercising your mind, also understanding movement, and then understanding space. The boards and the play bases give us an opportunity to work on those things. And the last two are social and emotional. So for social, collaboration, communication, perspective taking, sharing ideas, negotiating rules. What I want you to do is, again, wrap your mind around math skills and think about all of the ways that we could be social with mathematics. Many games use numbers. And so right away, you can think about making something that's mathematical into a game to build some of that social skill. And then emotional. Understanding emotions, managing them and expressing them, staying motivated, and then handling some of the impulses that come to be with emotional. So I've got a question for you right now. In the chat, I want you to type one of two things. Well, actually, you get to, we'll see. I'll give you 4 categories. We'll make it better. Here's the question, and you're going to type it in the chat. I want to know, out of these 4, which was your favorite subject in school? Was it English, math, science, or social studies? Which was your favorite? And I'm expecting all sorts of answers in there, and that's okay. We've got lots of people, they've got their favorite. I know I only gave you the 4 core. There's many other subjects, and you might have been the person that wanted to say lunch. I get that. So I want you to think again for a minute now. Which subject do you feel you were the most emotional about? Which of those 4 subjects did you feel the most emotional about? And it possibly is a different category, and it might not be for a good reason. Many times we tend to think of our subjects emotionally when it gives us discomfort or frustration. And those are true emotions. We need to remember that this is where some of these emotions, managing them, expressing them, understanding them, and then truly staying motivated. That's part of emotional. Some of our students inherit some of our own emotions. And so recognizing when your emotion might be playing on top of your student is kind of sucking it in and taking your emotion. So understanding that sometimes our own emotions will play into how our students feel about our subjects. So if you were emotional about math and it was not your favorite subject, realize you're fighting some of that when working with your student and have to find a way to manage that emotion and hopefully express it in a better way. I find it challenging. I find it hard, as opposed to saying, I hate math. Whoops, I popped too fast. Now, when we talk about math, one of the things I want you to always kind of put in your mind is the standards for math. I went to the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics for these standards, and you might go to your state standards, and that's just fine. Going to a bit broader makes me neutral. There are 5 content standards from the National Council of Teacher of Mathematics, and each encompass specific expectations, and they're organized by grade bands. So those standards are number and operations, algebra, geometry, measurement, and then data analysis and probability. Most of these top big name categories, you can usually come up with 1 or 2 things easily that you can do with your Braille bricks. But we need to make sure you have enough Braille bricks, right? So let's get into a little bit about those playful learning experiences and numeracy. Remember, if you don't remember from last time, some of our previous ones, our playful learning experiences are being meaningful, being socially interactive. We see that tying to the other one. Actively engaging, iterative, and joyful. So keep those in mind as we get going. But first, we want to give you an opportunity to watch Yvonne work with a young student. So I'm going to stop sharing, and Amy is now going to share. So give it a minute so she can get her computer up, on, and hit that share button.
But first, I want to set things up so that you know exactly what you can expect in this picture. So Yvonne is sitting at a table with her young student. In front of the little girl is a base plate with a combination of both standard LEGO bricks and Braille bricks representing numbers. The standard LEGO bricks are used to create lines, separating that numeric indicator at the top left corner from a row of number bricks. Occasionally, you'll see Yvonne reaching her hand out from the student's right side to give some gentle hand-over-hand guidance. The student removes the number bricks and then places them in numeric order along the bottom edge of the base plate.
All right, today we're going to look at our board here on our numbers, right? And at the very top, what do we have here?
We have a number sign.
We have a number sign, right? And then we have our long line, right? To separate them. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, we have 5 bricks. Because of our number sign, they're all numbers, okay?
Okay.
And then at the bottom, past the bottom line, I want you to put those numbers in order. So let's see what numbers we have today, okay?
We have a 4.
Uh-huh.
A 1.
Okay.
2.
Yeah. 7. Nice and loud so I can hear you. Okay?
And we have a 5.
Let's see. Is that a 5? It is a 5 dot. 1 and 5. Very good. All right. Can you put them in the bottom section? Put them on the bottom row for me and put them in order.
1.
Mm-hmm.
1 and 2 over here. And I'm going to add 4
Right, good.
and 5. They're in a whole line.
Okay. Do you have any more left?
Oh, and the 7.
All right, good
Now
job.
1. It's
What numbers do you have? 1?
1, 2. Wait, is that
4.
number 5?
4,
4,
5.
5, and 7.
There you go. Good job. 4, 5, and 7. All right, so I'm going to
Amy, are you done sharing?
I am done sharing.
Okay, just wanted to make sure because I was still listening to it.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Okay, so hopefully you had a little bit of time to see a student engaging in the numbers, and you can see some of our other skills for our students coming into play. So thinking about orientation, manipulation, constellation, understanding that some of these still come into play when you head into numeracy. So your student might need a little bit of assistance there. So when you want to do numeracy activities with the Braille bricks, you have to figure out how many Braille bricks you have available to you. You might consider grouping kits together for more numerals and mathematical symbols. So there are 24 bricks for the number 5 because it's E. And if you think about the English alphabet, we use E an awful lot. The number 1, of course, which is the letter A, has 20, and the number 9 has 16. But then numbers 3, 4, 7, and 8 have 12 bricks. And then we get smaller again, 0, 2, 6, the number sign, the equal sign, and the .5 prefix have 8 bricks. Plus, minus, multiplication, and division have 4 bricks. Now this is in your handout, both the slide deck slide as well as in a separate handout, just to give you an idea of how many bricks you have available. So if you want to do more mathematically, you are probably going to have to put more than one kit together. So just realize that. One of the biggest things that came to my mind is there is only 8 zeros. So we couldn't count all the way to 100 if we wanted to. We would be missing tons of zeros. Even if we wanted to count by tens, we couldn't. So think about what you have available and if you and a fellow teacher might work together to put those on. Now I'm going to share for a moment my board. I don't have every single one of the bricks, but what you'll notice, because of the tipsy-topsy nature of some of the bricks, you might not want to stack them all in a tall column if you want the student to have all of them available to them. So what I did is A1 does not stick well on top of one another because it's only one peg that's holding it together. So I made 3 columns of A's. And my smaller columns really didn't need more than one. It's a consideration to possibly use a separate type of base plate or a smaller base plate. And just as much as you saw finding alphabet letters can be challenging, finding these numbers can be challenging if they're then all in the same compartment, because of course you might be putting B, C, D in the same compartment for alphabetizing, but you might not do that if you're doing numeracy activities. So consider how you're placing your bricks to make it a little easier for your student to be able to find the one they want. Those of us with sight, for the most part, we can flip pretty fast, reach, locate, grab, but your students are actually feeling those pegs to be able to do the same thing. I have personally found that it being mounted on a plate as opposed to loose in a container makes you faster. So depending on what skill you're trying to build for your student, think about what might make them faster. That would probably make it a little bit more meaningful and hopefully more actively engaging for them. Each student's different though, we do know that. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about early numeracy. So early numeracy, one of the first things that you can think about is that learning through patterns is early numeracy. Learning sequencing, making predictions. It doesn't even have to be about numbers. It could be about letters. It could be about shapes. So you can use the Braille brick letters to start talking about a pattern by just placing an A brick, a B brick, an A brick, a B brick, an A brick. What comes next? Those patterns and predictions actually lead to stronger numeracy skills for your student. So think about how they might use their Braille bricks and put them into different patterns or designs. Another early numeracy activity is building block towers. Well, guess what? These bricks make it so much easier for your student to build because they stick together. They don't topple over quite as easy. Again, thinking about order, logic, sequence, reasoning. Can they follow a step-by-step instruction to build it in a certain way? Again, all of that is building their numeracy skills. Another age-old tradition of building numeracy skills is playing connect the dots. Connect the dots is actually a fun way to teach young students about number sequencing. What you can do with your Braille bricks is you can make a number sequence on your board and then ask them to connect those Braille bricks. There's two different ways that I could come up with connecting them. One was with wiki sticks and actually pushing it to the top of each brick, possibly using more than one wiki stick to get all the way around the figure. That would be considered probably the easiest method, though we all know that wiki sticks don't always stick the way we want them to, so it could pop off. Another way that's harder but stays better would be to trap yarn underneath the brick. So that would take some manipulation of your student to pop up brick number 1, stick the yarn underneath and trap it underneath the brick, and then go to find number 2. The picture I have on your screen right now was a heart I created out of Braille bricks on the base plate using numbers 1 through 8. I did not use the numeral symbol. This would have been one where I probably would have placed the numeral symbol up in the upper left corner, which is often talked about in many of the lessons that the Braille bricks have. And then I have spaced them with enough space that a student would still have to do some searching, which is supposed to be the fun of connecting the dots and then moving around the pattern. I suggest not doing very complex with a Braille brick. And I would suggest if you can stay away from double digits, your student is probably going to have an easier time. It does not necessarily have to be a shape that's recognizable, just the act of finding them and connecting them. You could actually ask your student, what do you think it is? You be creative, you tell me what it is. So just an idea, building those early numeracy skills. So I have a question for you. Has anyone tried any early numeracy skills with students that don't quite have the knowledge of they might just be beginning to sequence their numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Has anyone tried any of them?
The chat window's a little quiet.
That's
creating
okay,
patterns.
patterns.
Some few people are chiming in now.
And I'm glad to hear that you're kind of checking in with those early numeracy skills, not even labeling it as a math activity. For some students, if they already have a fear of math, we're trying to build those skills in a different way. So just kind of keep that in mind. So let's move on. We're going to move on to other play-based learning activities that really are engaging with math. Okay. This one is number builders. While I describe this, I want you to think would you find this activity meaningful, socially interactive, actively engaging, iterative, or joyful? So let's get going. This is an activity that I suggest doing with 2 students, or at least you and the student. You're going to need 2 sets of everything. So you're going to need 2 dice, 2 base plates, 2 number sign bricks, 6 of each bricks numbered 1 through 6. Each person's going to get 3 of them. And then I suggest 6 traditional bricks that are just a traditional 8 brick if you can. So we're going to do this activity. So give me a second. Let me get my bricks in place for you. I'll make a slight mess on my countertop to find enough room to do all this. This is the one thing that I would suggest if you're going to do math activities. I would not pick many of them because you're limited in your number of bricks to be able to build it. And even I was limited in my number of bricks. You will see some of that happen with me as I'm getting going to give you enough information. Okay, let me share my screen. Click. Okay, you see I'm getting close. Popping off all my bricks for you. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, I need 2 more 2s. Got rid of too many. I need a number sign brick. And then I suggest 3 traditional bricks. It doesn't really matter what color you use. So I've got 3 traditional bricks, a number sign brick, and then I've got numbers up above ready to go. And I have 1 die ready to go. What you want to do between you and your student, or you and a fellow student, is determine, does high number win or does low number win? High or low? The first person who tells me in the chat, that's what we're going with. High or low? Okay, low number wins. That was the first one I saw in the chat. So low number is going to win. I'm going to roll my die. Here we go. I feel it and I've come up with a 6. So the first thing your student needs to do is they actually need to find brick number 6. So they find 6. Now they have a choice. They can put it in the column that's labeled for 100. They could put it in a column for the 10s, or they could put it in the column for the 1s. That's what helps with these 3 bricks, understanding which category they've chosen. So those 3 traditional bricks let you and the other teammate know where you put it. So first one in the chat, 100s, 10s, or 1s, where should I put the 6? Someone said 1s. That was the first one I saw. So I'm going to put it in the 1s column. I put my 6 in the 1s column. Now this would be the other person's turn to roll and put their brick in which column they wanted on their board. If it's my turn again, I roll, I come up with a 4. I only have 2 spots left, the 100s and the 10s. Where do you put the 4? Where do you think I should put the 4? I'm seeing 100s, so I'm going to put it in the 100s. So you can at this point in time have your student figure out, well, what do we got so far? You've got a number sign and then a 4, and then we've got a blank in the 10s, and we've got a 6 in the 1s. And they could do a little comparison with the other person that's playing with them and figure out, okay, who so far has the biggest number?
Leanne,
Yes.
I'm sorry, would you be able just to give a little description about how you used the standard Lego bricks in positioning to represent that place value?
Yes. So what I did is I placed a number sign brick. You could choose to do it in the middle of the board or the bottom of the board if that's easiest for your student. Going from the numeral brick, but underneath its placement, I placed 3 traditional 2x4 bricks horizontally so that there is a single line space between each, though you could do bigger if your student needed it. Teaching your student to then orient the brick that they chose for the 100s to sit against that brick. So it would end up in line with the number sign. Hopefully that helps. I did give a description in the picture description on the PowerPoint if you need it. It's probably deeper description in there. So we've got a 4, a blank, and a 6. Roll it again. I come up with a 5. I only have one place left. It goes in the 5. Then you do a comparison. Who had the lowest number? Because that's the way we were playing. Again, this is a game where we're turn taking, filling in the blank, understanding place value. You could make it more challenging. You could put a decimal point in there and see how that changes. And just so you know, this is a modification of an activity that I found on Scholastic and teaching content and 15 math games. So sometimes looking for math games and putting our own twist in them to make it accessible works. So these are the Braille bricks. This was just one activity. So I'm going to ask you, characteristics of play. Did you see meaningful, socially interactive, actively engaging, iterative, joyful? Which characteristic of play did you see? All of them. Hopefully you did. I mean, hopefully a student is becoming more actively engaged, understanding that this is a thing that they can do, but you can do it with others. It doesn't necessarily have to be with an individual who has no sight either. We can really get creative with this one. Okay, you guys ready for another one? Here's our next one. Sweet math. And math is very, very sweet to me. So for sweet math, you need either a package of runts or juji fruits. I'm going to warn you though, you don't want any more than 7 of each item in there. We'll talk about that in a minute. You're going to need the 1 through 7 bricks, 7 number sign bricks. I suggest 2 bowls, 5 traditional bricks, and then 7 bricks of different letters. The 7 bricks of different letters are to represent those packages. So let's see this in action a little bit. Okay, so the first question you might have in mind is, why are we playing with candy? Okay, well, many mathematics teachers will actually pull out M&Ms. M&Ms, not the best choice for students who can't see. They're all round. So the 2 candies, so it is still as playful as everybody else and definitely as tasty, is to think of candies that have shape and texture. So the 2 that I often pull out, depending on what I can find in the store, is juji fruits or runts. They do have shapes and texture that is slightly different. For most students though, the shapes can be very similar. So depending on their tactile ability, you might choose to make less shapes to make it easier. So I chose runts, but the green, orange, and red runts are very similar. So you might want to figure out which ones make the most sense for your student. Unless you decide that tasting them is part of the activity, maybe you could go that route. I just wanted to let you know that think about what one you're choosing. You could also choose 2 different candies. Juji fruits feel really different than runts. So mix and match your candy. Hey, your student gets more candy. Great. Remember I said 2 bowls. So I have a bowl full with runts and I have a bowl empty. Meaning once you've tracked the one candy on your graph, you're going to move it to the all done bowl so that they know that they've already done that one. So that's why there's 2 bowls. Okay. The idea is graphing their work. You could have your student help build the graph board. Along the left-hand column, I have used the number sign and then the number to indicate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 going upward to create a column. Across the bottom, I have separated traditional bricks of a 2x4, and I've made 5 columns with space, a good finger space or 2 dot space between each. These are resting below the number 1 spot on the left-hand side, so that as the bricks grow in their column, they will match 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 is as big as you can go with this size graph. And so a student would pick up the runt that they were tracking. I grabbed R, O, L, G, and U. You again have some limitation on what letter you can choose to get to 7. Some of them don't have 7. So for yellow, I used L, and as they track them, they put another brick up and continue to track. And then you can work on taking your hands and going across and figuring out just how many were in each. Now, that's a simplistic way to work on graphing and charting. You can start working on ratio and determining out of how many total were in the bowl, then how many, what was the ratio of bananas to the whole package that you had or the whole bowl you had. This again is located in Scholastic at that same page, just taking an item that would traditionally be done with graph paper and pencil and turning it into Braille bricks. The nice thing about this is that if a mistake is made, it's easy to remove and recount again. So as opposed to some of the things that we have to mount permanently on paper, this is a way that you can get creative. Another thing that you can use is create a scorecard using your Braille bricks. Playing games like rolling the dice and what number did you get, or rock, paper, and scissors, who won? You just put a 1 each time. Maybe Go Fish, who won? Or you could play the game NIM on a separate board. NIM is a game where you place 21 random bricks, could be any letter you want, doesn't matter. And then you take turns, and each person has a choice to either pick up 1, 2, or 3 bricks. The goal is to not pick up the last brick. And so you could play the game NIM, and if you win it, then you get to put a score. Gina had a great scorecard for mom, sis, and me. And the column underneath the word mom has a 5, and then a 5, and then a 1. And then underneath that stack of 3 was an equal sign and 11. So you're working a little bit with other numerals. More mathematical activities, a calendar. Now, you must get creative with a calendar and use more than one set for this one. The calendar pictured on the left has Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday across the top with a single alphabet letter, Braille brick. Underneath is a calendar. I don't know what month. There is no month description. So under Monday is an A or a 1, and then so forth. When you start to get to double digits, they are stacked on top of one another. So you would have to remove the number 1 to read the number underneath. Or if you're in the 20s, remove the number 2 to read the number underneath. This might not be the most efficient way to use your Braille bricks, but it could be a way to help talk about how is a calendar constructed? Where do things need to go? Thinking about how you track on a piece of paper calendar. And then on the right-hand side was using the classroom calendar from APH, and they used Velcro to stick A, B, and C under Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with the Braille brick. And across the top, instead of using the plastic February, they used the Braille bricks to write the word February. So again, Gina was very creative, came up with some great ideas. Another idea from Gina was clocks and telling time. Again, these are numeracy skills. For first grade, it is typically asked that our student can tell time for the hour and half hour. Second grade, often to the 5 minutes, and third grade, often to the minute. So they used a Braille bricks to create the time where the hands would go, 12 at the top, putting 2 bricks together, no number signs used, just the brick itself. And then my suggestion is in the bottom left-hand side, you could build the digital time. You would need to create your own colon. There is no colon that comes with this. And Judy, I agree, you might want a numeric indicator in the top left to identify that these are numbers. So again, some of those ideas. I'm going to raise the bar just a little bit for you, okay? I want you to think of some little bit higher skills that you can do with mathematics. These might or might not be for some of your older students. Let's do the hundreds challenge. The hundreds challenge is a math activity that asks students to apply their math skills to create equations that equal the digits between 1 and 100. But you can only use the 4 digits that they're supplied. So if I told a student, well, I'm going to supply you with a 1, a 4, a 7, and a 9. My question to you is, how can you combine those together to get me an answer, any answer? So for just a moment, do a little math, probably in your head. All of you are probably old enough to be able to do this. Can you tell me an answer using 1, 4, 7, and 9 that gets you an answer from digits between the number of 1 and 100? So Chester came up with the answer 3. Chester, can you tell me how you came up with 3? What you did? The trick here is to be able to manipulate your bricks. So he did 4 times 7 minus 1 divided by 9. So let's see that. So you did 4. So let me get a number sign. Oh, got to steal it from my other brick to get a number sign. You did a 4. So number sign 4. And then we have to have a multiplication symbol. Now, the interesting thing about finding the multiplication symbol is if you want to do correct Braille, you need to find the dot 5 to put it before multiplication. And he did it times 7. And then he did subtract. And then he did subtract the 1. And then he did divided by the 9. And then equals, and then 3. Now, what you'll notice is with a fairly small problem, I'm almost across the entire board. This is one of those things, and I've already done 2 errors. Did anyone see the 2 errors I did? So I have number sign 4 dot 5 multiply 7 subtract 1 divide 9 equals 3. There's a few different. The spacing for an equal sign, I'm missing some dot 5 indicators. There could be order of operations coming in here. We're missing parentheses possibly to help. So some of these are not available. And it's just not, depending on what you need. Yes, Chester, you need multiple dot 5s, correct. These are some of the things that you need to think about. You can do it with a majority of them. This game, though, the goal is to constantly write down equations and see how many equations using those numbers that you can come up with an answer somewhere between 100. So I had 2 pictured here. 49 minus 17 equals 23, or 1 plus 4 plus 7 minus 9 equals 3. The idea is to see how many you can get. So your student could actually create a chart of 1 through 100 on some type of either refreshable Braille display device, note taker. It could be on a piece of paper, and they roll in and they write their equations for how they got to those numbers. Some students, you might want the challenge to be smaller, like getting to the numbers between 1 and 50. And really, truly, depending on the digits given, you might not have very many answers. It's just not possible to get all of those numbers. This is great for independent work and challenges, but it could also be some type of learning center that's going on that your teacher might have decided to do. This again is a modification from someone else's lesson. It was actually from Edutopia, and it's just a way to strengthen numeracy skills. Now we've had some discussion about math symbols and bricks. So I'm going to give the screen to you, Amy. Are you ready?
I am getting ready as we speak.
And I'll answer. There is no Nemeth version of Braille Bricks. This was a gift from the LEGO Foundation. They have used numeracy, UEB for their numeracy symbols, and it was not their largest intent. So that's why you see kind of a disproportionate distribution of that. Is they chose UEB, and again, their goal was probably literacy and just enjoying the fact that numerals are in there as well.
And we are ready to go with our math symbols video. So what we're going to see is Yvonne. We're back with Yvonne, and Yvonne is going to be sitting with her young student a second time using the same base plate that has a numeric indicator in the top left corner. Then you're going to see a row of plain standard Lego bricks with math symbol Braille bricks below. Yvonne is going to be placing number bricks on the base plate to form a number sentence.
All right, so now we have, what do we have up here, Huntley? What's that?
Number sign.
Number sign. So that means everything we're working with has to do with what? Numbers, right? Okay, and with our numbers today, we're going to be doing some math problems. So what kind of math problems are we going to be doing? What do we have here? What's this? What do we have here? What symbol?
Yeah, plus and equals.
Plus and equals. Okay, so we're going to put some numbers down. Okay, I'm going to put this number down right here. Okay, let's take a look. I'm going to put 2 numbers there. What do you have? What is this?
I have 4.
No, just dots 1, 2, and 4.
I have 6 plus 2.
Okay, so what do we need? What number do you need on the other side of your equal sign?
I need an 8.
Okay, here's an 8 for you.
That's
You want to put it there on the other side?
I'll put it right next to the equal sign.
Good job.
I know there's a big
Yeah,
space.
that's okay. What does our math problem say? Can you read it out loud for me?
6 plus 2 equals 8.
All right, is that correct? All right. So tell me what we have here. Okay.
Got 7
Uh-huh.
plus
Do we have anything here?
no.
Ooh, so we have a blank, huh? 7 plus blank equals
5.
What do we have? We have a 1. And what's next to the 1?
So 1 and 2,
Which means what?
which means 12.
All right, so 7 plus what equals 12?
7 plus 8.
Does it?
No.
No. 7 plus what equals 12?
4.
7 plus 4. Okay, let's put 4 fingers out. Okay, 7, we're going to count them. 8, 9, 10, 11. Is that what number we're looking for?
We're looking for 12, so we need to add one more, and 5.
Right, so we need a number 5. So here's our number 5. Where are you going to put that in our sentence?
In that big space next to the equal.
Yeah, here we go. In our space. So now can you read the problem for me?
7 plus 5 equals 12.
There you go. And is that a good sentence?
It is.
It is, because it is a true sentence, right?
Okay.
Okay, so somehow I got over to the hundreds challenge. Let's bounce that over again. So I want you to realize that you might need to stretch the bricks by loosening Braille rules, such as the numeric indicator and the .5 indicator. Just realize that when you go to the Braille Brick website and you look at their numeracy activities, many times they have stretched the bricks by removing some of those strict Braille guidelines, just as an idea. Another game that you might want to play with your student, this is a little bit higher, I'm pushing it. This is multiplication strikeout. And again, this is a game that I did not create myself. This is one that actually comes from Dr. Mike's Math Games. The goal is to have all the digits available, pre-set up a problem, and it's like hangman. So you're playing against other individuals. So I've set up the problem number sign using a blank and creating a blank by using a traditional Braille brick underneath the line, and then a multiply number sign in a blank, and then an equals number sign in a blank. And the idea is to make the person who is creating a math problem has created a 2-digit times 2-digit math problem, and a fellow student has to guess, is there a number 0 somewhere in the problem? And then the 0 gets placed, or if not, they get a strike. And so you can use 4 X's, 4 strikes, you're out. Is this game. They chose 4, but you could make it harder or easier. You could even make the math multiplication problem harder or easier. And it's a game between 2 people. And then we have coordinate planes. Someone recently asked, can you put coordinate base plates together? And I'm going to say yes, yes you can. You can put base plates together. And Gina has a great video showing how she put 4 base plates together. And Amy is going to pull that one up. But there are different graphs and symbols that you can do with your student.
Okay, so before we get started, I want to give you a little bit of description of what you're going to see. So Gina is going to be sharing with us how she created a large coordinate plane by connecting together 4 base plates. Each quadrant is connected by LEGO bricks. She's going to use a combination of standard 2x2 LEGO bricks and Braille bricks to create the X and Y axis. The Braille bricks are placement holders for specific numbers on either the X on either axis, and she uses a standard 2x2 brick piece to plot specific points on the grid. So now let's listen as she describes what she created in a little bit more detail and how to plot a point in the upper right quadrant using 2 positive numbers. All right, hold on just a moment.
So here is a coordinate plane. You can see it's 4 of the base plates held together. What I did is I straddled the edge, oops, and then just placed the numbers across. So 0, I'm using just a standard 2x2 so that it doesn't take up as much room, but your child, your student, will know that this is where 0 is. Then you come to 1 and ask them to put a finger right in the center, and they can follow this with their finger. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So when you ask them to do a positive 1, 3, we know the 1 is here. You're going to ask them to put their thumb in the groove, go up, and with their other hand, they will go follow 1, 2, 3. And what I do, I have it be the groove that's just on top. And then I ask them to put a 2x2, just a standard 2x2. This is marking positive 1, 3 in the plus plus quadrant. As they progress and understand how to do coordinates in X, Y, you can continue and start making things in the other 3 quadrants.
And I'm going to pause right there.
And in the interest of time, I'm going to speed up and let you know the one more activity that I had was Crypt arithmetic puzzles. These are letters representing numbers. They cannot start with 0. So the example I gave is LET plus LEE equals ALL. And I put that equation with letters on the board. And then I put A plus L equals blank. And I told them that E equals 5. There's a lot going on with Crypt arithmetic puzzles, but one of the nice things is they can do some replacement. You probably need more bricks to be able to do so, but I wanted to let you know that is another activity that you can do with your math. We talked about the characteristics of play. We invite you to visit the APH Hive for a long LEGO Braille Bricks webinars put together so that you can earn 4 more ACVRAP credits, and I am going to stop there.